The LA Chargers fly to Houston, take on the Texans, start out, score the first 6 points on 2 Cameron Dicker field goals. At least for the Chargers, everything looks to be going in the right direction. And then the Texans defense actually shows up, starts playing really well. CJ Stroud has an unspectacular game, although he does play well. And Nico Collins is a big receiver, has a great game. Joe Mixon puts up over 100 yards on the ground. But really, the story of the game was Justin Herbert throwing 4 interceptions, one of them going for a pick 6, which put the Texans up 20-6, and effectively the game ended there. And now, now the Texans are going to move on to the next round. And another game that got played on that same day, later that night, was Pittsburgh goes to Baltimore. And in what used to be a competitive matchup, now the Baltimore Ravens put their foot down on this one, and evidenced by the 60-ish yards overall total offense at halftime by the Steelers. The Baltimore Ravens were up 21-0. Effectively, the game was over. And with Baltimore, you've got Lamar Jackson, probably the most talented quarterback in the league, top to bottom. And he's not only incredible inside the pocket, as accurate as he is, he's resourceful. He's once he gets out of the pocket, he's the fastest guy in the field. And so if he threatens to run, you're a defender, you're probably going to react up to stop him, and then in which case he's going to dink the ball over your head, and that's going to go for first down. Or he's going to run it, in which case he is the fastest guy in the field. The second fastest guy in the field is a guy he sometimes hands the ball to, in Derrick Henry, who himself went for about 180 yards rushing and a couple touchdowns. And offensively, they are a juggernaut. What I see that's different now from the early part of the season with Baltimore is their defense. They are a complete shutdown defense now. The Pittsburgh Steelers, I think the rushing differential, so Baltimore put up 299 yards on the ground and 229 for Pittsburgh. And so I think that's the element that in Pittsburgh or in Baltimore's team was different, or is different now, as opposed to earlier in the year. All right, Denver goes to Buffalo. First series, they start out, Bo Nix looks flawless. He throws a 43-yard touchdown strike to fellow rookie receiver Troy Franklin. And I'm thinking, heck, this couldn't be any better. You got Sean Payton calling plays, Bo Nix, and the defense is operating. And then the reality of Josh Allen shows up, and he puts on a clinic. And more importantly, though, as good as he is as a passer and a sometimes runner, now they've got a legitimate running back threat in James Cook, who himself went for 120 yards and a touchdown on the ground. But you've also got a very good defense. Baltimore is now going to play at home against Baltimore, and that's going to be a great matchup this upcoming weekend. Over the weekend, the game to me that was most disappointing to watch was the Packers and Eagles. Packers lost 22-10 to Philadelphia. And really, Jordan Love was the story of this game, not so much for what he did, but what he didn't do. And he threw 3 interceptions, no touchdowns. And when I look back, with about 5 minutes to go, on fourth down, I think it's 4th and 3, Green Bay throws a quick out to the left. Malik Heath is the receiver, runs a good route. Jordan Love is under no pressure with the rush. Takes his drop back, throws off balance, and the throw is high and behind Heath, who comes down out of bounds. And instead of extending the drive, Philadelphia takes over on downs. And I think that was a microcosm of Jordan Love just doing nothing effective throughout the game. And at times when he could have, made plays and extended drives, he didn't. And that was disappointing. If I'm a Green Bay fan, going into next year, that makes me nervous because they lost a couple of games leading up to that game. So I think this offseason is going to be telling for them as to what direction they go moving forward. To me, the game of the weekend was Washington Commanders going to Tampa Bay, and both teams playing well, but Washington coming out with the victory. And here, Washington had an already incredible season, but Jaden Daniels in particular, as a young first-year quarterback, really played flawless. No turnovers, no punts, um, and made plays when he had to, especially in the fourth quarter and coming down the stretch on a fourth down, runs for it, gets the first down, which allows Washington to essentially run out the clock down to 3 seconds, kick what should have been a chip shot field goal, clanks off the upright, squeezes in, and they somehow, or not somehow, but win the game as a result. And it wasn't like Tampa played a bad game. Baker Mayfield himself was near perfect. He went 15 for 18 for 185 yards and a couple of touchdowns. He had a great 18-yard run that started a drive, that kept the drive going, that was capped off later by a nice throw to Mike Evans in the end zone for a touchdown. And it's not like you can point to Tampa Bay and somehow blew the game. Bucky Irving showed up huge in the running game. The defense played well when they had to. And Washington just played better and came away with the victory. And now Detroit knows who they're going to play. Whereas Washington, now the lowest seed at the 6th seed, wins and moves on. And now they're going to move on to play in Detroit next weekend. All right, so it's now divisional round of the playoffs weekend. And we're starting off on Saturday. First game is the Texans going to Kansas City to play at Arrowhead. Clearly a home field advantage for the Chiefs, playing at home, obviously, but Texans being an indoor stadium team. Clearly the Chiefs have the advantage here. I think if you look at, the fact that the Chiefs they took off, basically all the key players took off the last week. The first week last week of the playoffs, they were off. And so they're all well rested. The biggest issue they had all season long was their offensive line, which over the past few weeks of the season got resolved when they moved all-pro left guard Joe Thuney from NC State to left tackle and then moved left tackle to right tackle. They had a few weeks to get that sifted out, played great. And so I just, given that Patrick Mahomes is clearly the NFL's number one player when it comes down to late in the game, seal the victory play, he's the guy. So I don't see anything happening here to upset what I think we all see coming, and that's a Chiefs win. The other Saturday game is Washington going to Detroit. Now, back in 1991, I was part of the Lions, and we went to the NFC Championship game to play in Washington. Now, the Commanders, a week earlier, come to Detroit, which is now just the city itself is on fire with anticipation. You've got everything from bakery shops having the upside-down Amon-Ra St. Brown cake to other nods to other players. And if I could wear if I had a Honolulu blue tux, I'd be wearing it right now. The city is just going crazy, and rightfully so. They've never been a number one seed, never been to the Super Bowl, and clearly they are this year's team of destiny. I don't see anything getting in the way of that. Least of all, I know Jaden Daniels has been probably going to win Rookie of the Year as quarterback of the Commanders this year. I just don't see him going in and coming out with a victory in Detroit. All right, now let's shift our focus on to Sunday's game. And we got the Rams going to Philadelphia, who is definitely my upset pick this weekend. We all know how big a factor momentum plays in all this. And the Rams defense has been quietly going along this year and destroying teams. Prior to last week's Minnesota game in the playoffs, 4 out of their 5 last wins of the season, they had given up, I think, 14, 6, 9, and 9 points, and then gave up, 9 to Minnesota. And so that's why I think that Philadelphia, who everybody's looking at as, okay, we got a 2,000-yard rusher in Saquon Barkley. We've got two great offense lines, offense and defense. They've got, great special team play, skill players everywhere. Okay, super. But the Rams right now, I think, are under most people's radar as being that special kind of team. So I do see them going into Philadelphia. I do see them getting off to an early, quick start on top of Philadelphia. And I see that Rams defense shutting down Philadelphia for the rest of the game. I think the Rams are the right mix of young players, veteran players, and an elite coaching staff led by Sean McVay, who has that team believing in themselves. And that's why I see this upset coming. Now, on to the last game on Sunday, which is the Baltimore Ravens going to Buffalo to take on the Bills. The Ravens are favored, even though it's on the road. Early in the year, I think it was week 4, the Ravens beat Buffalo 35-10. It was in Baltimore. But I think the Ravens right now are another team that has taken not only its offense to another level, especially in the running game, but defensively have come alive. And that is why I see Buffalo. Also, they've revamped their offense. They still have a superstar quarterback in Josh Allen. But I think they've added James Cook in the running game that has been an explosive impact player himself. Buffalo also has a good defense. But I do see the Ravens being just, that this time of year, that sort of team that's coming together at the right time, and all of its key players are playing very well right now. So I do see the Ravens coming out of this on the road in Buffalo, coming out with a win.